Another one that's a true paradox is this idea, and this was out of Bernie Siegel's book. He basically said that the exceptional cancer patients no longer viewed recurrence of the cancer or death as a failure. It was no longer their top priority. And here is the paradox. Yes, we want to be better, we want to be well, we want to respond and get better and physically well and so on. But the exceptional cancer patients would put their energies into things they could control, like their attitude, their degree of compassion, their relationships, what they did with their lives, how they connected with people. And when you get into that realm, that's when the miracle can happen. Miracles can happen there, where there can be an influence at the physical level as well there. And we see it in the spontaneous remission patients and so on. I'll talk about that later. But that was the second concept, that death was no longer a failure to the exceptional patients. And the third theme that I'll talk about, and there's lots of other themes in the book, the third theme I'll talk about was this idea of self-care and self-love. And I can't state this enough, that as a foundation for your own health, you have to take care of yourself first. It's like when the oxygen mask comes down in the plane, you put on your own oxygen mask first, and then you help out a loved one. It's not, you don't have to feel guilty about taking care of yourself, because when you take care of yourself, you're able to serve others better. And I want to share a story with someone's permission about a support group from 2 years ago, about a woman who said that every morning she wakes up and goes through a visualization. And the visualization is this. She imagines that there's a cup within her chest. And she pours in the light of loving kindness. And she fills up that cup of loving kindness and fills up her body and helps with the physical healing. And she pours and she visualizes loving kindness filling up the cup and filling up her mental and psychological issues. And she pours in her cup even more, and it helps out her spirit. And only then does the cup overflow. And it helps other people. So she fills up her cup first, and then she sends that love out into her life. Right? So we need to take care of ourselves. It's okay to take care of yourselves. It's that balancing act. So I read this book, and I was crying because I knew that this is what I wanted to do in my life. There was just no doubt. I wanted to be an oncologist. I wanted to run support groups. And so I actually went to a Bernie Siegel weekend. And this is as an intern. I was just out of medical school, as green can be. I was sitting in the front row. There was just a few more people in the room than what we have here tonight. And I was wondering to myself, what is Bernie Siegel going to offer this group of almost all cancer patients and their family members? And Bernie came up to the microphone very calmly, very coolly, and he said, I'd like to start out with each of you telling us a bit of your story. You, sir, at the back, can you start us out? And believe it or not, 180 plus people stood up and told us a little bit of their cancer story. And it was a remarkable, remarkable experience. And if you've ever been in a support group in which you have that bond, you'll understand you can't describe that energy. It's just a magical energy. But people truly listened. And people cried, and there was just some few good jokes throughout the whole business. I learned more in 2 hours listening to those stories than I had in all of medical school about cancer and its effect in life. And so I came back as young resident doctor, hoping to understand, hoping to get a perception of what goes on, how do people cope with it, how can I help them in the best way possible. And the first thing that I noticed was that people come to the cancer diagnosis with their own issues, right? We're all kind of, in a sense, the walking wounded, and we don't talk about it very much, right? So whether from our childhoods, somehow we're not good enough or we're too good, and we kind of repress down these emotions, these feelings, and we kind of put on a happy face for the most part. And then when the cancer diagnosis comes, there's the 2 weeks of freak out, right? So the emotions are released. And so I just want to say that it's normal. It's normal to be upset. It's normal to be feeling lousy psychologically at any time during the process. That is the accepted normal. And because we don't talk about it, that's why people feel totally alone. that's another common issue, right? And that's the other reason why I'm glad people are here tonight, because you start sharing stories, start connecting with people, start understanding that you're going through the regular process. And it's encapsulated by a friend of mine who is this wonderful man. He happens to be a professor from university. He's a chaplain in the hospital. He's a minister. He's just a real wonderful, wonderful person, and very well supported from his family and so on. And he said when he got the cancer diagnosis, what he did is he went and booked himself a game of golf by himself. And he said he cried for the full 3 hours that he was out there. So just kind of let out his emotions and felt totally alone. It was a journey into the forest, or that dark night of the soul feeling there. So people feel alone. If I'm going to offer you advice around that, find somebody in your life who can listen to you. Listening in and of itself is therapeutic. It really is therapeutic. So do what you need to do to find that. If you're not a support group type person, then find the wise one within your life.